So in this problem, they've got a word problem to give some context, but the key here is they made equations. And the equations are, they're like slope-intercept form. C is like our y, n is like our x variable. So to graph the equations, keep in mind that they've got n right where x is supposed to be. If this is flipped, then we'd have a problem. But n is like on the x-axis, c is on the y-axis, okay? So c equals 600 plus 550n. So the graph should start at around 600 on the y-axis, and then it should go up by 550 for every 1 unit of n. So let's see which one makes sense. I guess this is kind of hard to do without pen and paper. Let me copy these down, and I'll graph them, and we'll see which one matches. That'll be easier because the increments are so small to see on a computer. 1650 plus 400n. Okay, so we have these two equations. C equals 600 plus 550n. And we're going to make just a rough sketch to save ourselves some time. And because it doesn't have to be perfect because the computer is graphing it perfectly. We just have to make a rough sketch so we can make the correct selection. Okay, so if this is like our y and this is like our x, then this one starts at around 600 on the y-axis because that's the y-intercept. And it climbs, every time we go 1, we go by 550. So 600 plus 550 makes 1,150. Right? Starts at 600, and then when you go up 550, you go to the right 1, because that's our slope. So there's a rough sketch of that equation. Pretty steep. The other one starts at 1600 though, so let me see if I can move this. Oh yeah, we have the technology. Because this next one starts even higher. 600, this would be like another 600, this is like another 600. So the y-intercept somewhere around here, definitely bigger than the 600. And then it goes up by 400 every time we go to the right 1 unit. So if that's around 1,650, then we should be up to 2,000. So this graph looks like this one up here. So they're going in the same direction. That's one note. Eventually they should cross though. The first graph, this first line I drew, has a slope of 550. It will catch up to the second graph because the second graph has a smaller slope. But hopefully that's enough to figure out which one's the right graph. Look at this one over here. That's the first one that catches my eye. That doesn't seem to start at 600, right? Because 2,000. Yeah, I don't think that one's right because that doesn't start at 2,000. The blue line catches up to the red line though, just like we said. So that one looked good for that reason. This one might start at 600, and this one might start at 600. The difference is the red line has a negative slope, so that one's out. We have a positive 400, so a positive slope is what we need. This one starts around 600. This one starts way too high though. This one starts around 7,000. That's not our y-intercept. This one starts at 600, and this one starts around 1,650. That's reasonable. And then the blue line does catch up. So actually, if you were to just go by the y-intercepts, you could get the right graph there. This is how many years would a total cost of repair equal the total cost of replacement? So we're wondering, when do they catch up with one another? So what you need to do for that is to solve it like a system of equations. This one lends itself to substitution. Plug the 1,650 plus 400 in for C in the top equation. Okay, and then I'll let you solve that equation. Check out the solving by substitution videos if you haven't done this before. Oops. So I got 7. It'll take n equals 7 until they cross. Okay, but again, I skipped over some steps because that's something we do in another video, how to solve using substitution. Another option here, let me see what my browser's got. Okay, you can go to desmos.com. Let me bring that down so you can see it. You can go to desmos.com and you can type in these equations. Just put y instead of c. And x instead of n. 1650 plus 400. what did I do wrong with that? What is going on? That's not right at all. Okay, well, forget Desmos. Man, what is... I must have typed something in wrong. Usually in Desmos, you can just type y equals 2x plus 4, and it graphs the equation. It did not graph these equations correctly. Y equals 550x plus 600. Oh, it did. It did. I'm sorry. It's just because it's such a small scale. So actually, Desmos in this question isn't super helpful, I guess. Sorry. If you come up with another graphing question, it'll be helpful. This one isn't super helpful just because of how far apart these two things are. But if you were to find out, Desmos is a quick way of solving by graphing because it lets you just click. Where are we at? It lets you click exactly where the solution is. So not super helpful in this one, but Desmos.com, another graphing questions where the numbers are smaller, it'll be helpful.